So it doesn't look like we can just use get context like we used to be able to with normal adapters. So remember that each view has a context though, right? So we can do this really easily. This is a view right here. It's a view group, and so it has a context. Now we're going to inflate our layout, and that's easy. It's like that. It's just row layout photo. And now we have our root view, right? And so now it's really easy. Now we're just going to return a new view holder for the root view. And we're done. Okay, great. Now that we've handled the kind of view creation process or the row creation process, the next step is to actually bind the row to the data that we have. So we'll notice that we have this int position field, and this is crucial. This is going to let us access the data that we want for the position inside of our list view. So for example, if this position is 0, then that means we're looking at the 0th item inside of the list view. If it's 1, then we're looking at the first item, or the second item in this case, and then, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to do holder dot, it's called photo image view. Let's see here, recycler view holder. So what is going on? So hold on. Okay, so we actually want to use photos recycler adapter dot view holder. Oh man. Okay, so then we actually need to put that right there, and we need to do that like that. And let's see, we're still getting an error. So we're gonna make this guy public. And now we're good. Okay. Finally, now we can do holder.photoImage. And so then we're going to be able to, mess around with this image view that we have for the holder. Now, the problem is, let me show you guys the problem. If we grab the photo target, right? So if we do mphotos list.get.position.getPhoto, right? So we're going to have a photo object for the row in our list view. So we're going to have a photo. The problem is when we get the photo and the way we would get the data, right? But we would basically be getting a lot of byte data. So we could do it like this. We could get the data in the background, and we could do new get callback, and so then we're going to have a list of, or we're going to have an array of bytes, right? So then what we can do is we need to convert this array of bytes into a bitmap. So the way we do this is we do bitmap factory dot decode byte array bytes 0 bytes dot length, and so then this is going to give us a bitmap. But this is this will work, and then what we can do is if holder.photoImageView is not equal to null, and we have to check to see if it's null because this is an asynchronous operation we're doing right here, and the activity might have died in the meantime, and so the view doesn't exist the view wouldn't exist anymore. So we have to check to see if it's null. So then we can do holder.photoImageView.setImageBitmap, and then we could do photo bitmap. And photo bitmap is not equal to null. And so, okay, so this would work fine, but we're doing a couple of kind of not so great things. The first thing we're doing is we're decoding this large byte array into a bitmap on the main thread. And so this is going to lead to performance issues, especially because we're working with the list view, right? So this is going to happen for every single row in our list view. We're going to be firing up this get data in background method, which is basically an asynchronous operation. We're going to then, be decoding that entire bitmap array for each row on the main thread, and it's just not a great way to do it because we're not even caching the results, right? So if we have the same URL repeated, then we're going to be firing up 2 of these calls, even though we really only need 1. So then, there are multiple things we could do. We could use we could use a cache up here to store every bitmap for every URL, and then we could, fire this up and inside of an async task, so we're not actually working on the main thread. But there's a much easier way to do this. And we're going to, once again, resort to a third-party library. So let's see, I don't have it added right here, but the third-party library, it's called Picasso. So it's called Picasso, named after, I assume, the artist. Let's see here. So yeah, and it makes sense because it's basically an image loading library that makes our lives a lot easier. So we're just going to copy the link right there, and now it becomes really easy. The first thing we have to do is we have to make sure that the photo exists, right? So if photo.getPhoto is not equal to null, and photo.getPhoto.getURL is not equal to null, if both of these conditions are true, it's just a defensive check. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to grab the photo URL, photo.getPhoto.getURL. So we've grabbed the URL, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to do Picasso.with, and so now we need a context. So this actually might be a little bit of a problem. I don't think, neither the holder nor the recycler view actually contains a context, so we're going to have to pass it in up here. Context. And so then we're just going to do mContext is equal to contexts. And so then we're going to do Picasso.with the context.load. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to load the URL. We're going to put it inside of the image view, which in this case is holder.photoImageView. And we're done. It's just going to load it automatically. It's going to take care of caching. It's going to take care of asynchronous bitmap decoding and everything, and displaying the bitmap into the image view. We're also going to do two things. We're going to do fit, and we're going to do center crop. So these are two properties that make sure the image doesn't look distorted. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do center crop, so the image scales up to the size of the image, or the size of the photo image view, right? But it kind of preserves the aspect ratio. So that's what fit and center crop do. So in essence, they preserve the aspect ratio, and they conserve memory, because we're not actually using we're not actually displaying a larger bitmap than we need to. Okay, and so we should be good now. Now the final thing that we need to do is we need to rename this guy right here, and we need to actually set the adapter. Right? So we need to, let's see here, we need to create an instance of the recycler adapter up here. And let's see here, my computer is jittering here. And then we're just going to do .setAdapter. Okay, one more step. We actually need to download all of the data from parse now, right? We actually need to download the photos list. So the way we're going to do this is we need to go into the photo target class, and we need to add in a getQuery method. So it's just going to be a static method, public static parse query photo target getQuery. We don't actually need this method, but it's just really nice to be able to chain these query calls by using the class that you're interested in fetching. So then we're going to return new parse query, and let's see if we're going to target photo target. Okay, we're done there. So then it's going to be photo target.getQuery.where equal to, and we're interested in finding all of the people or all of the rows or objects whose targets are equal to parse user, whose targets are equal to us. We want to fetch all of the photos that have been sent to us, and then we're going to do find in background. We're going to open up let's see, we're going to fetch the list of all of those items, right? We're going to check to see if we have any errors. If we don't have any errors, then we're good, right? We want to make sure that the adapter is still around. The adapter should actually always be around, because So yeah, I think it should always be around, even if we rotate the screen. But just as a safeguard, I'm going to put it in for now. We'll debug this later. And so then what we're going to do is, if the adapter is not null, then we do adapter. We need to update the actual items, right? So we need to put in a method right here. Public void. Let's see here. Public void set photos, and then we can do array list photos. And so then we're just going to do mphotos list dot clear, or even simpler. And we need to put in the generic type right here. We're interested in photo targets. All right, we're good. So if the adapter is not null, then we're going to do adapter dot set photos, and that's easy. It's just a list. So okay, so we need to convert this list into an array list, or we can just do this. We can pass it in as a list right here, and then we can do dot clear, and then mphotos list dot add all. So now we're going to add the entire list, right? And I believe that should work. Yes, because we're just adding a collection. Okay, so then we're going to set the photos, and then we're just going to notify that the data set has been changed. So when we do that, this is going to notify the list view to refresh its contents, because now we have new photos. And let me run now. And before I do that, let me fire up. Let's see, I'm going to fire up my screen recorder right here so you guys can see what's going on. And the Gradle build is running. This could take a little bit of time because we've added in some new libraries, and probably needs to set those up. So let's see here. Adapter, and okay, I messed up. I forgot to actually instantiate the adapter. So what we're going to do is we're going to do adapter is equal to new photos recyclers adapter, and we're just going to pass in a null array list. We're going to pass in a null array list, and we need to do this because we need to pass in a context. I believe if I just do this photo target, that should clear up those errors. So now let's see here. What are we? So we're getting an error here. So multiple. Okay, so let's check this out right here really quickly. So what's going on? I believe we don't need that right there. Let me try now. And let me try running again. Okay, so I ran again. The issue was that I just needed to add in the Facebook library, or the Facebook parse Facebook utils as a separate jar. Okay, so now I'm going to hit view photos, and we get a crash. So why did it crash? Let's look right here. So it says that the parse object cannot be cast to the photo target class, and yeah. So why did it even, so what happened here? Let's look at this again, hold on. So it says the parse object cannot be cast. So we're getting photo targets for sure, right? Let's just double check this. Yeah, so we're getting photo targets right here. We're passing in photo targets. And so what we're doing is whenever we're getting the photo, and let's see here, we're in the photo target class now. Did I forget one thing? I think I might have forgotten to register the application, or register the class. Register subclass photo. I believe that's probably causing the error because it thinks it's just a normal parse object. And let's run again. And okay, let me fire up my screen recorder again. And I'm going to hit view photos. And we got another crash. Alright, let's see what happened here. Alright, so it says it has no data for photo. So what we need to do is, okay, so this presents kind of a tricky problem in parse. What happens is parse tries to optimize its queries, right? Or it tries to optimize or minimize the amount of data it's sending to you. Now, normally you might not need the contents inside of this photo object, right? This photo object might contain lots of data, and so whenever you're fetching the photo targets, you might not actually need all of that content. You might just want this reference in case you sometimes want that data, right? So if you get this object ID, then you can fetch the photo if you want. But you don't want to actually pass in every photo for every photo target if you're fetching, several of these photo target objects. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to add in a condition into our query that's going to tell parse to fetch all of the data associated with the photo target and this photo column right here. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to add in this method called include, and when we add in this method called include, we're going to say we want to include the photo. We want to include all of the data that's inside of this reference to the photo. We don't just want its object ID, right? And let's try running again. I'm gonna hit view photos. And there we go. So we have the list of photos finally, after much effort. No, that wasn't actually too bad compared to the traditional approach of using a custom API. This was very, very simple. In the next video, we're gonna make this look better, and we're gonna get started using dynamic data. All right, I'll see you guys.